Hello and welcome, everybody. This is our Exiting Expat Checklist Masterclass, and it's with myself, Circa Coyle, and we have Eileen Adamson from Your Money Sorted. Just to remind you, in case none of you have met me before, my name is Circa Coyle, and I am the founder of Empowering Expat Teachers. And it is my mission to empower you to lead a personally, professionally, and financially rewarding life. And that is whether you are a potential expat teacher or you are a current expat teacher. In this case, our masterclass is for exiting expat teachers, but I think it would be helpful for everybody because at some point, I think all of us are going to leave if we're expat teachers. So it's a really great masterclass for you to tune into. Okay, and I'd like to introduce you to my co-speaker, and that's Eileen. Eileen, how are you this morning?
Hi, Circa. Good morning and welcome to everybody this morning. I'm Eileen Adamson and I run a business called Your Money Sorted, which helps other teachers. I'm also a teacher, I'm a PE teacher, and I help other teachers to manage their money more effectively so that they've got more money to do the stuff that they love, because times are tight in certain areas and it's important that we all work hard, but it's also important that we all have money to enjoy ourselves. So my aim in life is to help people to be more financially secure, but also to have more money to do the stuff that they love.
Oh, fantastic. And Eileen and I have been in touch for probably the last year or so, and I've been so impressed with her blog and her products and her services. And really, it came to me that actually it'd be brilliant for expat, for any teacher, but also particularly for those expat teachers who are going back to the UK. And her advice is invaluable in terms of in like the financial area. She's absolutely expert to go to. So this is why we decided to do our Exiting Expat Checklist Masterclass. Okay, so I'm going to start off. I'm going to talk about what exiting expat teachers need to think about when you're leaving a country. So first of all, I'm going to start off really, really quickly with, first of all, why do expat teachers move? Why do teachers leave their home country and move abroad? And we do it for a variety of reasons. We might do it to change experience. We might have to do it to earn a higher salary, to save more. We might do it for the sun. In my case, I love the weather abroad in the Gulf, so I like to move abroad for the sun. It might be because you want to have experience, maybe rapid career progression, which you can do in a lot of international schools. So there's a variety of reasons why people move abroad. So some people might think, then why would you leave? Why would you possibly want to leave that kind of lifestyle behind? And again, the expat teaching world is very, very changeable. Something may happen at home and we decide to move abroad. Maybe a family member becomes ill. We may decide that actually we want to go back to our home country and settle there and start a life there. Something might happen whereby oftentimes people do silly things and get deported. So there's a variety of reasons about why people want to go home. I know in my case, it was because a lot of my good friends had left Qatar that was my first case of expat teaching. And I decided that actually, I was going to leave as well, which isn't always the best reason to leave, but that's why I left. And so there are a few things that people need to think about when they leave. Okay, so I'm going to start really with more of a practical checklist. And I would say once you've made the decision to leave, definitely give yourself an 8 to 10 week sort of space or timeline in order to get certain things done to make your exit as smooth as possible. So things like debt. So debt is a big issue in the Middle East. So you need to make sure, and I'm sure this is the case in Asia and any other country, maybe abroad, that you pay off all your debt before you leave. And that includes credit cards. And a lot of cases, you need to close a credit card about 6 weeks before you leave, because obviously you have your monthly bill. So you need to make sure you shut it down in time, because sometimes schools will not give you your exit pass to leave if you haven't got proof that you shut down your credit card, to make sure that you have no debt. And that's a really, really important one. Check with your school's HR, check with your bank, and see what the timeline is for that. And that, I know that actually has been an issue for some expats. They've been blocked from leaving because they haven't paid off, but they haven't closed down their credit card. So it's not enough just to pay it off. Make sure you actually physically close it down as well. So other things that you need to think about are things like shutting down your electricity accounts, water accounts, your gas in some countries, your car rental, and also your rent. So double check your contracts and everything. Sometimes you need to give a fixed amount of notice before you leave. So check everything and make sure you do it within the time allocated. And also, if you use your credit card to pay certain debts, like your electricity, etc., if you shut down your credit card, you need to let the company know and provide an alternative form of payment. Okay, so that's really, really important. Also, things like your internet, your gym. Sorry, I have a list of things here. Little things like that. Your car rental, like I said before, make sure you check when you need to cancel those. Another thing I would say, yes, also if you've got a lot of things, start planning when you're going to sell them, particularly things like a car or, large amounts of furniture. Decide when and how you're going to sell them, because you don't want to be rushing that. You want to make sure you get the best price, because I find if you leave things to the last minute, you'll accept any offer, and people often get great bargains in that sense. So it works well if you're coming to a country and looking for something, but if you want to sell something, make sure you give yourself enough time to sell it at a good price, that you're not panicking and just selling it to any offer. Another really important one would be getting a police check. Now, it is often much easier to get a reference from the police in the country you're in while you're there. It tends to be more difficult and more expensive to apply once you've left. So again, make sure you go to your HR at school, double check what you need to get for your police reference, and then go to the police station. There might be certain ones allocated for foreigners, and get your police check. It's like your criminal, because whenever you apply for a job back in your home country, they will ask you for a proof of good behavior or some kind of like DBS or criminal check. Okay, so make sure you get that sorted before you leave. It's really, really important. I'd also say about, so this one is more for, actually one more thing before I go on to Irish teachers. What I did when I left, as well as the police check, I actually got a reference from my head teacher. Just to have a paper copy that I've scanned, because if I was going to a job and maybe they were on holidays over the summer and they didn't get back with a reference, I actually had a paper reference from my head teacher or my head of department. So it's really, really a great thing to have, particularly if you're traveling and you want to get a job while you're traveling. My plan was to go abroad, maybe teach English. And I think quite informal, but at least if you've got a copy of your reference from a head teacher, it's much better than them waiting for a head teacher to get back, particularly if they're on their summer holidays. For Irish teachers, what I would say is those of you wishing to come back to Ireland, I think most of you know this, with the Teaching Council of Ireland, you need to get something called an incremental form filled out by your employer in your country abroad. And from what I've heard, I've not been to this experience myself because I haven't taught in Ireland since I've come back from Qatar. You need to tick primary or secondary. Don't tick the private box, because if you tick the private box, your years abroad will not be recognised. So make sure you tick the primary or secondary box in order for your years abroad to be recognised on the Irish time scale and pay scale. So it's a really important thing to do, because you could lose out on the pay scale or on your years built up. Okay, so make sure you do that. Ideally, you would send it you also get a stamp from the school on that form. So tick the correct box and get a stamp from the school. And ideally, you would send it to the Department of Education from the country you're in. Now, I've heard of some cases where they've sent it from Ireland, but that might cause a bit of a hassle. So ideally, send it from the country you're in. And like with everything, always take a photocopy or a scan to have in case anything gets lost in the post. And in that vein, I would say send it by courier or by registered post to make sure it gets to the place it should be. When you're back in your country, make sure you rejoin for example, your union if you wish to teach. I would say I would not. I'm in the Teaching Council of Ireland, even though I've only taught for about less than a year in Ireland. I have never left. I've actually paid my subscription every year, because it's often a lot more difficult to rejoin a sort of teaching council, or when you're back, it's much easier to keep it going rather than having to stop it and then rejoin again. It's a lot of paperwork. So obviously, if you haven't rejoined, but if you're thinking of moving abroad, I just stay with them. I wouldn't stop that. Now, yes, I'm almost there. Sorry, poor Eileen's been very patient. In terms of transferring your money home, so by the end of your contract, you should have your salary. I know in the Gulf, they tend to give you, June, July, and August together, and your gratuity. So gratuity is a bonus that you get. It's usually 3 weeks salary, and that you get on top of your salary. And you get it when you leave a job or leave a country. And what I would say with that is, I don't tend to use the bank to transfer money home, because the bank tends to offer the lowest currency exchange rates. what I would recommend doing, what I would do myself, is I withdraw it and I go to a currency house. In the case of the Gulf, UAE Exchange, Al Jaber, Al Ansari Currency House, and queue up and then haggle. If you have a lot of money, you can actually haggle your rate. So if I were you, I'd check out 2 or 3 and get your best rate. It's one big tip I've learned from the Middle East: always haggle and never accept the first price, and transfer it that way. Now, if you do that, you might need to go to your bank before when you withdraw the money and make sure you've got proof, like a receipt of where you've taken the money from, and also maybe ask the bank for some statements, because it's a large amount of money. They will question you in the currency house where you got it from. So make sure you've got all your paperwork for that, and then transfer it that way. And again, I wouldn't leave it last minute, because it takes a few days. So don't do the day before you leave. I would do it within the time that you've got time to check that's gone through to your home account, your UK or Irish American account. Okay, so give yourself a few days there to do that. You can also use apps like Currency Fair is one. I've heard good things about Currency Fair. They're an Irish company. I haven't used them myself personally, but there's like FX, a few different currency apps that you can check. And I think Eileen might know more about this, but I also know Martin Lewis, I think he does on his blog, he does something about comparing currency exchange apps, so you can see which one is the best for you. And that might be a bit quicker and handier because it's all from your phone. And I think I'm going, oh yes, so almost there. I've got maybe 2 or 3 more points, and that's over to Eileen. What I would say on a personal or emotional level when you move back. Now, there is actually a thing called reverse culture shock, where you've moved abroad, experienced a brand new culture, got involved, got absorbed in that, had a great time, and then you've come back to your home country. And people actually do suffer from reverse culture shock, believe it or not. So be aware of that and be prepared for that. And recognize it, that you may experience a big shock from going back to your own culture. Do appreciate it. I'd say do give it time. I know when I moved from Qatar, after 4 years in Qatar, I moved back to London to do my master's. Luckily, I had my master's and it kept me busy. And that's one thing I definitely say to people, is to keep busy, because sometimes if you've large amounts of time or long amounts of time with nothing to do, you do think back and maybe you start to regret. As you know, the grass is always greener. You think, why did I leave? My life was so good there, even though you may have hated it while you were there. But do remember that that's a natural thing that people go through. And what I would say is have lots of things to do, whether it be a new job, a new house, if you might start to study something you've always wanted to study, have little things planned, like a holiday here, a holiday there, a weekend away here. Definitely have things to keep you busy and occupied, so you're not left with too much time on your own to think about things, because everyone left for a reason. Always remember the reason why you left. I know I've often thought, why did I leave Qatar? I had a brilliant life there. I absolutely loved it. But a lot of my good friends had left. It was my time to move on. So I have to think, no, Circa, you left for a reason. You can't regret the past. You left for a reason, and leave it. I left Qatar on a good term where I still loved it, but it was time to move on. So it's a hard thing to say, but don't compare the 2 places, because each have their own things that you love and things that you hate. So don't compare too much. Like I said before, definitely stay busy. Say yes to everything. I would almost treat it as if, with the advice I give you when you first move abroad, when you first move to a new country, I say yes to everything. Take every invite to coffee, try something new, join clubs you never would have dreamed of joining before. And I'd say the same thing when you come back to your home country. Do the exact same thing. Join that dance class, join that sports club. If you want to learn how to do, I don't know, burlesque, or if you always want to learn a language, go and do it, and treat it like a brand new experience, as if you're moving abroad. Definitely join meetup groups, make new friends. I know oftentimes, I know myself, it's easier to meet people when you go abroad than it is at my age, maybe to make friends in your home place. But these are definitely things I'd recommend that you do. One thing that that's helped me tons, is I bought a property in Spain, and I do plan to move back there eventually. And I actually have already joined the Facebook groups in that particular place. It's called Denia, and it's called Denia Connect. And it's got a mixture of Spanish people and expats. And I love it because I can see there's already things going on that I'm looking forward to when I go back. So there's always salsa lessons, there's flamenco, there's like bands, there's karaoke, there's always new cafes and bars opening. And I feel like I'm already involved. I'm always asking questions and I'm asking for help. So I already feel that I'm sort of in the community, even though I'm not there yet. But I definitely would recommend you in advance, join the pages, like what people do when they come to teach abroad. They join Empowering Expat Teachers a month in advance, and they already feel they know people by the time they come out. That's something I definitely recommend. And in terms of, yes, I'm going to actually put a link. There is a lady called Catherine, and her website's Catherine Relocated, and she's got a really lovely blog post about returning home, things that you should consider on an emotional level. And I'll definitely put a link to that in the comment section below. And the final thing I want to talk about is when you come back to your home country, or when you leave the country you've been living in, and you want to start a new job. Now, it's a little bit difficult if it's UK or Ireland, because when you go abroad, it's very common to do an interview, a Skype interview, and that's sufficient. In a lot of cases in Ireland, I think in the UK, you need to go in person and actually have the interview in person and teach a lesson with the school. So you may have to fly home, which is quite costly, but obviously it might be worth it ultimately if it's a job in the place you want it to be in. But I would say if you haven't done that and you're coming back to no job, definitely put your name down for supply teaching, for some substitute teaching, and update your CV. Make sure you reflect your international experience. Make sure you reflect all the fantastic things you've done. Skills like flexibility, adaptability, coping well under new situations. They're really attractive skills to have in your CV. Absolutely. So make sure you highlight those. If you've taught a large amount of students with English as a second language, highlight that. Talk about it in your CV and in your cover letter, because these are really, really attractive skills for employers and for head teachers as well. Okay. If you've had really cool ideas in your school abroad, bring them to your new school. Okay, show that your experience counts, that you've learned so much and you want to bring it to your new job. Okay, there's a lot of things that you can change. All right, so that would be definitely I think there were top 10 tips for when you move abroad. And Eileen, thank you so much for your patience. I went on there for a while. Over to you, Eileen. Tell us about what you would advise exiting expat teachers.
Okay, that was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed that. I thought you were absolutely super. Loads of great advice there, so that's fab. So when you're coming back home, things to think about before you come back home, Sorka's kind of covered that, but things to think about in the maybe 6 months before you're coming home might really, really help you when you do come home financially. So things like thinking about saving up before you come home, so that you've got a big chunk of money that you can then use effectively when you get home, which I'll talk about a wee bit later how that'll help you, but that's one thing to be thinking about then. I'll talk about the boring stuff at the start. So tax implications when you come back. Now, it's really confusing. Tax confuses everybody. And it's, oh, do I owe tax? Do I not owe tax? What do I do? And basically, my advice to that is get on the right side of the law. So make sure that you get specialist advice from someone. There's tax advisors out there. In terms of the UK, get in contact with HMRC. They may seem a wee bit scary, but they are actually very helpful. So get in touch with them, and the Revenue in Ireland, again, get in touch with them and just make sure that you're staying on the right side of the law, because you don't want to be hit months down the line with a massive tax bill. So get it sorted out at the very start. In terms of a pension, if you've been paying into a pension abroad, which I hope you have been, but you may or may not, hopefully if you have been, it's been into a qualifying recognised overseas pension scheme, which means that it is then easily transferable into a pension scheme when you get home. Again, my advice to that would be contact the Revenue, contact HMRC and speak to them about that to check whether your pension, there's links, I'll pop a couple of links in at the bottom that'll help you with that. If you haven't been paying into a pension, this is a kind of wee aside, this is for everybody. I've been looking into pensions recently. I've been teaching for 25 years, part-time some of it, and realised a few years ago that my pension just will not allow me to retire early. So I've had to take steps to make sure that I can retire early, and that is investing money, investing a bit more in my pension, having a personal pension as well, because I don't want to have to work till I'm 68. So therefore, it's really, really important at every stage in your life to consider your future and make sure you're putting a wee bit away just now that will grow and grow and grow, and will allow you then the flexibility when you're a bit older to give up teaching when you want to give it up, not having to work until you're just about to drop down dead in the classroom. So that would be my advice on that. Credit records. Now, this is a really important one. in terms of credit records, they are very, very important, because those who have got good credit records will get offered lower interest rates, they'll get offered lower interest rates on mortgages, on loans, etc. So it's really worthwhile having a good, solid credit rating. Now, if you've been working abroad, especially if you've been away for over 6 years, there wouldn't actually be anything on your credit score here, so you may have to start again. However, what I would advise is to try and keep, if possible, try and keep a UK or an Irish bank account, and try and keep maybe a credit card as well, and that will then keep you having a credit footprint in the UK or Ireland. If you can also keep a UK or Irish address, again, that keeps you on the credit record, and it will allow you to build it up even while you're abroad, which then will let you get better rates. If you are then looking, when you come home, if you're looking for loans and mortgages and things, especially if you're looking for a loan or credit card, always use Money Saving Expert's soft search calculator. Don't go randomly applying for loans and then getting rejected. Use the soft search calculator. It will help you to work out which loans you may be accepted for, which credit cards you may be accepted for, and that then it doesn't appear on your credit record. Whereas if you apply for lots of different things and get rejected for them, all of those appear on your credit record, and they actually reduce your credit score. So that's another wee point. In terms of when you're coming back, and if you're looking to buy a house, mortgages are such huge expenses, and again, the credit record makes a big difference here. But I would always look to get specialist advice for a mortgage, and there's a fantastic new online company called Habito who will help you through the whole process. They search the whole of the market for you, and they will help you to find the best mortgage rate for you. They offer a completely free service, and they really are, it's all online and it's absolutely fantastic. In terms of mortgages, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier on about trying to save up before you come. If you can have a whack big deposit and put that down on a house, then it's a great investment, but it also means that you can perhaps take your mortgage over a shorter term, or you can have lower monthly payments. And that means that you're then freeing up more of your income to actually enjoy, rather than having to use all your income to service your mortgage, etc. You'll more than likely need a car when you come back home, and that again, the best way of buying a car, there's so many different ways of buying a car now, which that seems to, every year they seem to introduce a new way of buying a car, and all of them get more and more expensive. So the cheapest way to buy a car is to buy a car cash. So again, this is where it's really important. If you can build up a pot of money before you come home and hand over cash for the car, A, you'll be able to get a discount on the car because you're just handing over that money straight away, and B, there won't be a monthly cost for you. So again, that's freeing up more of your salary to spend and to have fun with. The other ways of getting a car, if you haven't got enough cash to buy it, perhaps you might like to think about a personal loan rather than getting hire purchase or the other kind of car specific loans. A personal loan might be a cheaper way of doing that. So look into that as well. There's then hire purchase, where you would pay a deposit, you would pay installments, and then at the end you would own the car. So that's your kind of third cheapest way of doing it. You can then go into personal contract purchase and leasing personal contract hire, where the cars, you pay a lower monthly payment, but at the end of a 3-year period, then you've got to pay a huge amount to own the car, or you just give the car back and then you just keep your payments and take on another car. So you would perpetually be paying for a car, which seems to me quite a big waste of money. Because we all know that they kind of depreciate in value. So again, have a look into that. And what I'll do, there's a fantastic website that gives you some really good information about that. So I'll pop that in the comments as well. So in terms of saving when you're at home, I've found these amazing little apps which don't yet work abroad, but if you've saved up when you're abroad and you've been finding that useful, when you come home, these 2 wee apps are absolutely amazing, because what they do is they attach themselves to your bank account. There's no issues with security because it's all encrypted, etc. Even Martin Lewis says it's okay, so it must be okay. So they attach themselves to your bank account, and what they do is work out how much you can afford to save without you really noticing. So they'll maybe take £7 out to your bank and pop it into this Barclays bank account that they've opened up for you. And they just do that periodically. It might be, maybe they would do £20 one month, or they just periodically pop in and remove some money. I've saved over £2,000 in one of these apps in the last 18 months and genuinely haven't really noticed it going. So, which is a wee bit scary, to be honest, that much money can disappear some days. But these are both fantastic, and I'll pop wee links to them in. They're great fun as well. The kind of last thing I want to talk to you about is the fact that generally, because you're going to be having a different salary when you come home, it's that getting used to living on less salary. And that's where the saving up before you come home, so that you can put down a big deposit, so that you can buy a car outright, that will really help you, because it's not actually about your income, it's about your disposable income. It's about how much you can spend freely and how much you can enjoy spending freely. And if you have been sensible, done a good bit of saving when you're away, then you can come home and you can actually probably live a very similar, well, maybe not a very similar lifestyle, but in monetary terms, a similar life, because you've been sensible when you've been abroad and you've made good decisions there. So it's about keeping your monthly outgoings low, and it's about putting down as much as you can, houses, etc. And also when you come home, starting with a wee budget and making sure that you've got all your monthly outgoings going. That's your budgeting part of it. The rest of it is your spending plan. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to be able to go back and see my friends abroad a couple of times a year? Do I want to be able to travel? What do I want to do? And it's about working out how much money you can use to service the things you need to, and how much money you can have just to spend and enjoy and do the things that you really love, as well as creating this secure future and making sure that you've got this security in the future. So that's my kind of top tips for when you come back to the UK or Ireland, and that should help you on a good financial footing. So I shall hand back to Sorka now.
Excellent, Annie, that was brilliant. So important to know those things, because you're right, we don't have the apps, I don't think, at all when we're abroad. So that's sounds really interesting. And definitely I completely agree with what you're saying about the saving, because I think once, whether it be in the UK and Ireland or abroad, and you have kind of like a cushion of money, your life is freed up a lot more. I think, like you say, I know for myself, sometimes if you pay, you can often haggle. I don't know if that works in UK or Ireland, but if you have the cash ready to go, you can often ask for a better deal, or like you say, you get a discount when you're buying the car because you're paying it all up front, and just give you that freedom, I think, so you're not panicking or signing into things that are financially, not sensible, or, it definitely is absolutely the way to go. And on that note, I'm going to talk to you about my 3 days 30k challenge, which is starting on the 27th of August. And basically it's some tips and masterclasses and resources and Facebook's live about what you can do to save at least 30k. The steps, I'm not saying you're going to save 30k in 3 days, but the steps that you can take to put in place, plans to put in place to make sure that you save at least 30k, whether it be euros, dollars, or sterling, in your 2-year teaching contract abroad. Okay, so that will take place the 27th of August. I will put probably around the 20th of August the sign-up link. Those of you who've already said that you're in on my on the Facebook group, I will put a link there for you So you can definitely sign up, because it will be a separate platform to the Facebook group. So you'll see the masterclasses and everything else. On a separate platform that you'll tune in every day to. So it'll be day 1, 2, and 3. And it's actually really exciting. We've got, I think, about 140 people already saying I'm in, which is fantastic. So definitely, you need to definitely sign up though to get access to the actual challenge. So, and also for those of you watching Eileen's group, my name is Circa Coyle. Please make sure to join if it sounds interesting. If you're interested in going abroad at any point, join the Empowering Expat Teachers private Facebook group, and I'll stick details below, and you'll find articles, information on my blog at www.circacoyle.com/blog. And Eileen, do you want to let us know about what's happening in your group?
Yeah, now that all sounds so exciting, Sorka, and I would like to say I love Sorka's group because she's just so enthusiastic and she makes me want to go and teach abroad, but I'm not entirely sure that my children are going to allow me to do that. But definitely, if you're in my group, definitely go and check out Sorka's group because it's fantastic. So in terms of my group, I've got a Your Money Sorted group, which is just for female teachers, and it's good fun. It's a nice fun group, and what we do in there is we're just trying to help people to become happier, healthier and wealthier, and to feel good about money rather than feeling that money is something that's a stress and it's a strain. It's to feel good about money and enjoy your money more. So I've got a couple of things happening. In the month of September, I have got Your Money Sorted Take 5, which is going to be every day in September. I'm going to be doing a 5-minute Facebook Live because we're all busy. We don't have time to sit and work through hours and hours and hours of things. So what I'm going to do is it's going to be 5-minute videos, quick, actionable tips that's going to take you from a place of kind of money stress to financial success. So that's what we're going to be looking at in September. I've also got various paid courses, but if you pop across to my Facebook group, there's loads of free information there, and if paid courses are something that you're interested in, that's great. If not, there's loads of freebies and stuff there that's good fun. So it's Your Money Sorted group on Facebook, and I'll pop a link down below, and my website is yourmoneysorted.co.uk.
Excellent. And I was on Eileen's group and on her Your Money Sorted website, and honestly there's so much fantastic articles, there's freebies, excellent services, really reasonably priced, so definitely go and check Eileen out. And for those of you, those teachers, whether you're new to our groups, whether you're new to expat teaching, whether you're a seasoned expat teacher, there is no excuse for not saving this year. Okay, you have the challenge, and actually, you know, everyone's welcome to join my challenge, expat teacher or not. And you've also got Eileen's challenge as well. So you've got all these resources and blog posts and hopefully inspiration from both of us. We're both teachers. You know, neither of us, you know, I don't think we're very comfortable, but we're not necessarily from a massively privileged, you know, wealthy background. Like it's something we discovered ourselves. We know the importance of being financially savvy, of feeling financially empowered, retiring early. Both of us want to retire early, and we're both teachers. So please take that inspiration from that. If you're thinking, oh, I can't do that, it's not for me, it's not possible, you know, all these obstacles that we think about, and actually, really it's not. You've got people here who want to support you and guide you in your journey, because there's nothing better, I think, than being financially empowered, financially independent. So you honestly, no excuse, guys. I'm not taking any excuses, because you've got two people here who are happy to guide you in what they've done to achieve financial wellness and, you know, financial empowerment. Okay. So yeah, Eileen, that was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, Sorka. Thank you very much for inviting me. I loved that. It was great fun.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that, and we will talk to you soon. That was the Exiting Expats Masterclass. I hope you enjoyed that, and please make sure you join our groups and check out our websites as well. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.